Hi everyone, Selena from Bubble Lab here, and I'm back with another demo. Today I really want to show you guys how you can build workflows on Bubble Lab and one-click deploy it into any front end, including vibe-coded Lovable front ends. So I'm on Bubble Lab right now, and one of the most common use cases of workflows that we run internally is being able to run natural language queries on our Postgres database. We actually already have a template for this, but I want to show prompting this from scratch. So let's type in the prompt of create a natural language database analyst workflow that queries PostgreSQL databases, analyzes trends, and generates automated HTML reports with insights and metrics. Now Perl is putting together the agent orchestration and piecing together the Bubble Lab workflow that powers this. Let's open this, and now we see all the various steps, and I noticed that it actually added an email step to email the report, but we don't actually need that, so I'm just going to tell it to remove that step. Perl goes in and identifies the changes needed to the underlying TypeScript code that powers the workflow, but as soon as you click accept, it will not only make changes to the TypeScript code, but also the UI UX. So now we will see on the flow visualizer that the email bubble is gone, and let's go ahead and set up all the credentials. And let's just quickly test this workflow to make sure it works. So this is connected to the database that contains information on Bubble Lab's cloud version, and I can run a simple query of how many users do we have. As soon as it executes, you'll see that it's going in, understanding my data schema, generating the accurate SQL queries, and putting that through an agent to actually format it into a nice HTML report. And as usual, you get full observability, so you get rich logs on exactly what's happening on every step, as well as the detailed token and cost usage. So now let's go to Lovable and build a pretty front end for this type of product. Let's say, help me build a front end that is a chat with your database interface, allows people to chat with their database and shows the answer. But obviously on Lovable, it will be mock data. So here's the beautiful front end that Lovable came up with. And if we just quickly test it out and just say something like, hi, obviously the information here is just mock data and not actually real. And now let's combine the two. So back on Bubble Lab, there is an option to export, and we have made it extremely easy for you to combine it with other apps like Lovable, Bolt.new, Claude Code, etc. All you have to do is copy the prompt, and that will contain all the information that's needed. So let's just paste it into Lovable, and what we're essentially providing is the entire TypeScript file that actually powers the workflow, instructions on how to curl into the webhook command that powers this workflow, as well as some information on the webhook response schema so it knows how to parse the information. So this is more than enough information for Lovable to now understand that instead of having mock data, it should actually be calling this Bubble Lab workflow to get the actual functionality that we want. Looks like it's now done running, and if we look into the code, we're able to see that instead of using mock data, it is now actually going into the auto-generated API of the workflow we just created, which is perfect. So let's test this out. Let's ask the same question of how many users do we have, and as you can see, now it's actually going in and analyzing our query. And if we go back into Bubble Lab, you'll actually still be able to observe the behavior that's happening, even though it's executing from an entirely different app. So if we refresh this and you look on the history tab, you'll actually be able to see the payload going through and that this workflow is actively running. Now let's go back to Lovable, and here we go. Accurately got that we have 363 active users in the nice HTML format that we wanted. And if we now go back to Bubble Lab and refresh it, we will see that in the history tab, that workflow has successfully run. So even if you execute it from another platform, you still have the same full observability. You're able to see the token usage and the cost usage as well. And that's how you can easily build fully functional, full stack applications using an existing front-end application and then using Bubble Lab to power the backend. Hope you guys enjoyed this demo. Let me know if you have any cool ideas that you want me to build out and demo, and please go try out the app. Bye!